Welcome to the Frontend Coffee Break, episode 56 of this podcast where we take a break from our everyday lives and enjoy a little bit of coffee while we discuss different front-end topics. As always, here I have with me Ricard. Hello.
Hello, Tucho. Long time no see.
Quite a bit of time it's been. There's a lot of things happening, but they all seem to be revolving into one single topic, and that's what we're going to be talking a little bit about today. Basically, is how has AI impacted the work that we've been doing during the past few months, during the past year, how we have been adapting, working on it. We're just going to discuss a little bit about our experience. And there's a lot of front end topics, of course, out there, but it seems that our main topic, the main thing that we've been talking about, learning about, discussing has been AI. I don't know what your
Yeah.
impression is, but at least that's how I see it.
You were absolutely on point, and that's maybe why we haven't been recording as often because everything revolves about AI and news about new stuff like new frameworks, new functions. They come now very rarely, and it's all AI, man. It's all okay. Chrome delivers whatever. Chrome has a model, and you can ask questions on the Chrome. I don't know. It's all AI everywhere, and it's difficult. It's exhausting. It's difficult. You got to be on top, and I think that's what we want to focus today on. Let's see.
So let's take a quick look at how AI has been becoming or joining part of our work in the past year. Um, a year ago, or around a year ago, at least, and we've had it for longer. The thing that you had with Copilot, for example, was the autocomplete. The AI-driven autocomplete that also uh, basically prompt engineering, what it was now called prompt engineering, where you ask the AI to do certain tasks, like, I don't know, write me a function that verifies if an email is correctly structured, and it would give you the function. Or while you were writing, depending on the file that you were in, it took information from it, and if you were repeating a pattern, it helped you repeat the pattern automatically. But it was just like basic stuff. And that's been going on for a little bit of time, quite some time. But then suddenly in the past, my feeling is like just in the past 6 months or less, it has changed dramatically. Um, I still mainly work like this. Well, I think that this is like here to stay, like the autocomplete. I don't know how often you work with it, but at least I feel it's like important part of my work now. And
Yeah, I don't think about it anymore. Like I assume that my VS Code, okay, because I have my enterprise license there with the company, but I just assume it's there. I assume that I start typing and it will smartly autocomplete stuff. You sure it's based on AI, local models or whatever, and then yeah, you get not only like for repeated tasks, but also like if you start writing, okay, validate email something, and then line break, and it will start writing the regex, and it knows based on, again, on context, on the file, and without you having to prompt. But for me, that's a given. Like that is the
yeah,
bare minimum that everybody has, and I it's a given for me. Yeah.
yeah, and it has reduced, for example, for me, just having Copilot this way has changed the way that I work, in the sense that I no longer go into Google that often. I don't look for stuff that often. If I try to figure out how to do something, like it's very repetitive, but I don't have it from the top of my head, I start writing a little bit, maybe even a prompt like, what is the function, what is the property, what is blah blah blah, describe it, and usually get it. So that's, yeah, as you say, it's given that had a big impact on the work that we were doing. But that was just like the base, a very basic thing. And as you say, if you're not doing this, this definitely is something that you need to do. And I think that basic plans and free plans are quite popular, and they give you quite a bit of power. Then came it came to me as a surprise, the agentic modes. You were actually one of the first person that I was speaking with, and you were mentioning, oh yeah, I use it in agentic mode. It's like, what the heck is agentic mode? What do you mean agentic mode? Could you explain a little bit what that
The
is?
passwords. using an agent to delegate tasks. I think before, like we had the autocomplete, and then you had the regular chat where you would ask questions and the chat would answer you, but the chat would not execute anything on your repository or the code base, right? It would maybe gives you the full function, and then you could just copy and paste it into the editor. But actually, having the agent or the AI actually run commands for you, like write the code, create files, execute scripts, run the build to check if it builds, and then if it fails, read the output on the console and then iterate. That's what we now call agentic, right? Where you have an agent, somebody that works for you, doing tasks that, of course, you want to delegate because you don't want to do it, or you want to be faster, or whatever the reason, right? So, yeah.
And that's quite nice where you can, with that, at least I figured out that you could actually tell it, okay, you're not only limited to the context that you see in the page or in the file that you have open, but the agent has access to the entire code base. You could actually add different files and say, hey, I have this issue, find why it's happening, and these are the files that are related, and it goes and it looks. I've used it quite a bit. It's also interesting. I don't use it as often, but I do sometimes go into or take advantage of this agentic mode, where having all these additional context gives you much better answers. For example, one task that I've hated all my life, and I still do, is unit testing, especially in frontend. I know unit testing is very important, especially in the backend, but in frontend, it can be quite a nightmare. And I love that you can tell it, hey, these are the files that you need to take into account. Come on, build me unit testing. And that was like something that also, if you can work with that, that's also, I think, more or less a given that this is something that you should be using at least. But this is just the basics.
Are you now a context engineer? Because what you said is fantastic. Like, you can ask questions on the file that you have open, but I think you went further. You went to the end of the episode, right? You're now at the end of the episode where we say, okay, now we're context engineers, where you did it perfectly. You throw into the chat, you throw in maybe Java files, HTML, CSS related to your issue or to your feature, and then it didn't have to, the bot or the AI doesn't have to go scanning the whole entire code base with grep or find commands to actually find the related Java files or whatever it is. And now it's fantastic because it's way faster and way more accurate. It consumes less requests, less tokens. That's the way to go, definitely.
And this, as you mentioned, then came along context engineering, because context matters. There are certain tasks where they're simple, you don't really need the context, but then, especially if you wanted to do bigger stuff, implement bigger functions, do more complex things, context matters. And more or less at the beginning of the year, in February, we started hearing about Cloud or OpenClaw and these agents that do a lot of things. And the agents, the way that they work basically is a series of configuration files, which are called skills. And what's the other term? I don't remember right now from the top of my head.
You have agents, skills. You have, I think before it was prompts. Now you have also files for sub agents. Yeah, it changes rapidly every month, so I don't know anymore.
But the thing is that you have a series of files, and these files basically are prompts, and they tell how the project is structured, what things should be done, what skills should be called when A, B, or C is being doing. And like this is like the next level. And this is something that also, if you're working with this, potentially this should be the minimum level now that you would be expected to know how to work with. Because these kind of things can help you really even more. You give the agent or the context of your project, not only the context regarding the files, but also how the project is structured, the name conventions that you have. It's basically a configuration file. And this way you make the agent even smarter, even better. So that would be like the next level. But
you don't want to repeat yourself, right? What you said before, the great example of unit testing, right? Nowadays, writing it manually honestly makes zero sense, right? You have your functions file or your pure functions file. You have your skill that is maybe called unit testing, where you say, okay, the files go in that place. I'm using this framework, btest or jest. My structure is like this. Always run them with this command, which maybe it's not npm run test, maybe it's something else.
Exactly.
Do you just define everything in a file, a markdown file, as you said before? So then for you, in the end, it's just one line saying, hey, do the test for this file, and it will look into the configuration, go to configuration, and then do it always the same way, and you're super fast. So definitely, if you are into repetitive tasks and things you have to do, look into the skills and the agents and these files. Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing, yeah, because you could go to the next level in which you don't have to tell it anything. You just say, build me a unit test of this, and it will know where do you build the unit test, how many unit tests, if you've done it. If you have specs somewhere in your project, or if the agent has access to your specs, it can even go and fetch for the specs if needed. I mean, you can basically teach or configure your agent to work the way that you want to work. And this is the smart way of doing it. And this is the basics that you need to do. There are a lot of fantastic articles precisely in the Visual Studio Code website of how to configure it, how to configure your own agent, your skills, everything. And I think that if you haven't done this, if you haven't learned this, that's one of the first things that you need to go. It's like, how do I use agentic mode in VS Code? How do I configure it? You go, you look for it, and that way you will learn the basic things of how to work with it. And I think I've lost a little bit of connection. Maybe Ricardo and I are going to be talking at the same time. Okay, there, you're back. For a moment, I saw you just completely freezing. I'm guessing that you saw exactly the same thing, right?
I think you were out, not me. You were.
Sorry
Anyway.
about that. I was saying that resources, Visual Studio Code page, go and see it. It will teach you all the basics that you need to work with. I mean, and there's many examples out there on how to do it. But this is something that you need to do. And then I think that the final stage would be when you have agents doing a lot of the work, but not just one, but several agents working for you or or with you, not for you necessarily, where you have something that it's called spec to code or Figma to code, where you tell it, grab this spec and basically create the component, create the feature, implement it. And you're just supervising, seeing how agent A calls agent B, and this one creates this, that one creates that, the other one checks the code. And that would be like, at least as far as I know, like the final level right now, like level 4.
Final boss. Yeah,
The
I
final
think
boss.
actually, some people have defined the levels of agentic or the integrations on AI, and yeah, using like a spec-driven development or spec-driven AI, where I don't know how it's called anymore. It's definitely one of the end games, right? Where you simply evolve as a front-ender to being a mixed consultant, where you're actually writing specs, maybe in Markdown, and you feed that into the AI. The AI looks at the specs. Maybe the AI can even like iterate on the specs and help you like do the features and the plans and everything. And it's all a big loop. Yeah.
It's interesting that I've seen, for example, this is like the final level. My recommendation would be that you need to be at least in level 2, the one that we mentioned, that you're using your agents to look through your code. That would be like the minimum requirement. Level 3, it's not really hard to achieve, but this one can be quite more complex. But still, it's very interesting. And there are some people that actually use AI to, for example, write the specs. They use like, hey, write the spec. I'm gonna put this spec, and I want you to write me the plan, write me the instructions, and that's a fantastic thing. It's like very meta. It's like you can use AI itself to help you write the files that you need to use for AI. Anyhow, it's a fantastic, amazing world. There's a lot of things out there, but I think it's a little bit less scary than you might think. It's just a matter of slowly starting from the different levels that we mentioned, slowly starting reading, and you eventually get there. So if you are, I've seen a lot of front-end developers or people just in general, not only developers, but other managers, requirements engineers, QAs that are worried like, oh, I don't understand how this is going to be, how this works. It's like a lot of people don't, and you don't need to know everything. You don't need to pretend to know anything. Just slowly go and do it at your own pace.
The problem is like an industry pressure, or we put on ourselves to hurry up and use everything at the maximum efficiency to reduce cost or to ship faster to production. And I've noticed like in several projects or in my experience, sometimes like developer output is not the key factor to actually shipping more to production. Like sometimes you actually need to align with clients, and clients might not know what they want, and getting them in the same page to then just sit down, write the specs and implement. That's the latest part and maybe the fastest. But sometimes, aligning with this team, the other team, aligning with designs, aligning with all the people to actually get everything, all the assets that you need to actually fire the prompt. That's the last step, and usually what takes less time. So for me, I think we need to use AI, as you said. It's a very nice. You said, Chucho, at all levels. So AI is not something that only developers use to ship faster code, write faster lines, but you need to use it at all levels: QA, automate all the testing, consultants to actually define like a new feature, use AI to go faster, define the flows faster, create these things faster. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
And so, how would you say that the AI has changed the work that you're doing? Like, how has it impacted your work as a developer, as a senior developer?
Right. So it depends a lot on your project. Like if you're doing a greenfield project, like I've tried on my side projects, it's you go AI first. You go like no code. You go spec driven where you write only markdowns and you let it cook. Right? That's the end goal. But when you're trying but you're working on a legacy project, even though it's up to date, you're doing features, you're doing maintenance. It's a long-term running project, 10 years with hundreds of components, hundreds of files. It's not easy to jump into the last level. You gotta go maybe content engineering where you say, okay, let me actually try to use plans, right? So you have a feature, you get the specs from a Confluence or a Markdown, you put them into the prompt, you say, hey, help me build a plan, you throw in the files, as you said before, throw in the files that related to because you know what component you're going to change, throw in the component, throw in the files, and then with the AI, draw a plan, a big fat Markdown plan, and then execute. And then you look at the screen. So that's what I have been doing. Not for everything, because sometimes you know that doing a plan, executing will burn more tokens than actually you going into the component file, the JavaScript, and changing one line. So it's a balance between, okay, is this a new feature? Is this something that I can automate easily with end-to-end testing, unit testing, and I can do it with the machines altogether alone? Or I just go in there and do it myself.
And this is something very important. In my case, the way that I've seen the shift, the way that it's impacted, what I do is that, yes, I automate some of the tasks that I used to do. One of them that I love doing it is code reviews. I love it, reviewing my code, because I make a lot of typos, a lot. My last pull request, the one that I did today, precisely what it had was typos, and it's like, oh, you spelled rap wrong. It's like, oh, sorry. And so this is like just a basic thing that's very nice. Yes, it's a linter with steroids, but it also, I love that it gives me some suggestions. But half the time I read the suggestions, especially when you work alone, sometimes it's difficult to review your code, because you see your code and it's very hard sometimes to figure out what the potential problems are. But with it, in my case, for example, I'd like to review it, and it gives me half of the time, half of the advices that it gives, they're good. The other half, it's like, no, it's okay, it's working fine, but it's fine. It helps out. So
but don't take it for granted. I think you are doing it great. I mean, I'm convinced that if you would now poll 1,000 developers, not everybody would run their pull requests through an AI. I'm sure, because if you do it, you're doing it great, but I'm sure people don't do it, and we should be doing it. We should be always, when you have your branch, before opening a pull request for your colleagues to review, even if you're a solo developer or in a team, you should always run it through your AI, and fine-tune your own prompt, your own Markdown file, where you actually, again, as we said before, config on your project, the way you code, the way you use your functions, your vocabularies, just have a big file so the AI knows what to look for. And you should always run it, because maybe it doesn't find anything, or maybe it does. And for me, I don't know, if I would say out of 10 pull requests, sure, in 5, I'm sure it finds something saying, hey, have you looked at this thing, at this side effect, or what happens when the dominant race conditions, something. It finds something, and it's good. It's definitely good to review the code, especially if the AI wrote the code in the first place.
Yes,
so,
yes.
yeah.
No, but and there's so many things. I've seen so many people. Let's just put this code review, because there's many things that you can do with it. But let's concentrate this a little bit. I've seen people configure the way that they want the code review to be done, because it's not just about, oh, review my code. That's like the basic. It's about, I've seen people like, oh, review the code and tell me when you have an issue, tell me top to bottom what the potential issue is, and point out, show me examples where this might break. I mean, they actually add complex prompts to tell it to do more complex analysis. And for example, one thing, I haven't tried it, but I think it would be nice, is to have like a script for juniors and a script for a little bit more advanced, not just so the way that it explains the problems. I would ask, if you have a little bit of less of experience, you can tell me, explain it to me, give me examples, show me what are the best practices when you find an issue, be more precise. Or you can just simply say, be super simple, direct, tell me this is wrong because of this. And that's a
That's
fantastic thing.
interesting. So be more verbose. Maybe even tell it to give you links to MDN or documentation, so you can actually learn
Yes.
from the pull request rather than, because if you're a senior, maybe okay, oh shit, yeah, sure, I missed this condition here, I missed a boolean there, so you just do it. Fine, I know it. But for a junior, it's a very good point that you can use that to learn and level up.
And this is something that I've seen that people are concerned with, that they say, and I've read a couple of articles, that potentially the ones that benefit the most are the more seasoned developers, because they see the code, they see the work, and they have a criteria. They can review it, and they have the basis to say, oh, this is wrong, oh, this is right, and they can avoid potential problems later on in production or something like this. Whilst people that don't have that much experience, they say, oh, it looks good, oh, it's working on my computer, let's go. The same thing happened with Stack Overflow, for example. I remember many years ago, I asked an implementation. I saw the code. I was reviewing the code from one of my junior colleagues, and I asked them, hey, why is this line? What does this line do? And he said, oh, I don't know. I just copy pasted. It's like, it's fine. That's the way that we work. Stack Overflow, it works, da da da. But after you do it, you need to review the code line by line, maybe. And what happens with AI is like that happens, but faster. They put way more code and they have less time. But so it's important to find ways to when you're developing, especially as a more junior developer, maybe configure the file so that it gives you hints or why it's doing it. Like you can say, hey, and this is just a suggestion. When you ask it to implement something, you can tell it, put comments on why you're doing things. Like, be very verbose. Just add JS docs. You can add additional information so that when you as a junior read the code, you can see, oh, so this is the logic that they're following. And also it will help you really review faster if the code is correct or not. So there's a lot of strategies. There's a lot of, depending on in which grade you are, where you are in your career, you can use it one way or another.
Devil's advocate here, Chucho. So what you're saying is fantastic, and I love it, and I'm on board. But I also need to play devil's advocate, saying this is not what the AI companies want us to code. Like, they want us to do no code. They want to say code is trash. I don't care about the code. What I care about is the output. So you do AI first, agentic first, spec-driven engineering, where you don't look at the code, you don't look at the generation, you just look at, okay, are the tests passing? Yeah. Is all green? Yeah. Is the build doing? Yes. On the screen, do I see the teaser and the carousel? Yes. I do not care if the code is performant. I do not care if it's well written, because the maintenance of the code is going to be the AI doing it. I'm not going to do it. So why should I even care, right?
Yeah, but this is dangerous. And it might work in certain cases, especially, for example, mock-ups that you want to do, or tests, or proof of concepts, perfect. But in more complex scenarios, maybe there's even professional scenarios where this actually works. I mean, I think it was one of the music companies that they were saying that their lead developers were not coding anything anymore. But well, then you have things like what's happened with Amazon, that it basically lost connection for 6 hours because someone pushed AI code that wasn't checked, that wasn't working. Things that happened with big companies like Microsoft. I mean, big companies have messed up with this. I think that it's fantastic to use the tool to help you out, but you need to understand what it's doing. Depending on, as a developer, you need to understand what it's doing, especially because I was seeing a very nice interview with what I remember it was the CEO of the company that makes GTA, Grand Theft Auto.
Rockstar or something, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they were saying like, AI is fantastic, it can do a lot of things, but AI looks to the past. And people that innovate actually look to the future. So AI cannot do anything that's not been taught to how to do. AI, of course, talking LLMs. And he was saying like, yeah, you can tell it to do Grand Theft Auto from scratch, and it will do it in a couple of hours maybe, or in a couple of days, compared to years that we've developed number 6 that's coming out soon. But it's like, But that's not what people want. The games that cause an impact are not games that are copies from previous games. They're games that bring new value. And with this, what I want to say is that we've said it at the beginning of the podcast. There's not a lot of news of other things other than AI coming out. You know, you don't see a lot of innovation, but there's fantastic things coming all the time in CSS, HTML, JavaScript, that we need to learn how to work with that and apply it. Even if the AI doesn't know how to do it because they haven't taught it, you need to know it. And more than that, you need to know. You need to. I think that part of our work is shifting from code creators to code reviewers. It's shifting a little bit. If she is shifting to a more thinking, reflection kind of task. And it's very important that you don't become lazy and let AI think for you. Think with you, help you out, but not do it for you. Because if AI does your work, why do we want you working? Why would a company need you? And I think that's very important. You have to be able to work with AI. It has to make you better, but it doesn't have to do. You have to add something to the table. And I think that this is crucial.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. Like, I don't know if we will like this new role, this new evolution of the front-end developer, where you no longer code, you never play with code, you're just, an orchestrator, consultant, where, you should a code reviewer,
Have a good one.
or an architect, maybe, you evolve from a developer to an architect. I don't know if it's going to be fun anymore, but definitely I'm with you. We should add on top and add our expertise, our knowledge, and to do that you have to learn, you have to study, you have to be on top of news and on top of all the things going on. Because if you just sit down and okay, you get a requirement, do this carousel in green. Okay, I do it in green, and then what's the value there? There's no value for you and for anybody. So definitely add something to it, and then we'll be all fine.
And as junior developers, try to don't let the AI stop you from learning. Use AI and learn while using it. I think that's the important thing. And interesting enough, let's talk just two more things. One of them, we still don't know the real cost of AI. Right now, it's been just like the first one's for free, so that you want to keep coming to get more. So we have to be very careful with this. We don't know the real cost of AI yet. It's slowly starting to reveal itself. So this is something that we need to pay attention to. Eventually, you might end up relying too much on AI, and then suddenly, it's too expensive for you to use. So that's also a reason why you have to be on top of.
We gotta let the dust settle a little bit on the whole billing and the companies making money, because then right now they're not doing any benefit. I think things are changing June 2026, but who knows how. I think we need to let it wait and see. As you said before, like if maybe people were doing full AI first development to do a stupid carousel, and then they realize, oh wait, the carousel has cost me like $5,000 in tokens. I could have done it in for 100 euros. So let's see if it's worth it.
And finally is there's something that I want to recommend, and I would like to hear to read from the listeners is, what do you do when you're in what role should you as a developer play in the AI adoption in your company? I think that you should not be a bystander. You should not just be sitting there and doing the things that they tell you to do. You should be participating in the implementation of AI in your company. And I don't mean not only learning, which is very important, but also like ask around, see who is in the company is implementing it. Try to ask of the best practices. Try to be part of it. Maybe help out, do tests. I don't know, but join in and help shape the way that your company is going to use AI. I think it's very important, especially because you'll learn how to use it better along the way. And you will help shape the way that you work in a way that you might feel comfortable and help others feel more comfortable working with it. So this is it. What are you doing that would be the question. What is everybody doing in their own company to help this AI thing move along? I think it's a tool that it's here to stay, but I don't think it's going to be as important as they're telling us that it is going to be. But we definitely need to know how to work with it. regardless.
Amen.
Well, I think that's all the time that we have for today. And well, I guess we'll be back in another episode when we find something maybe not AI related to talk about.
That's complicated, Chucho, but we'll do our best. Yeah.
So thank you very much, everyone, and see you next time.
Bye-bye.